Hi guys, so today's video is going to be something a little bit different. So I'm really trying to put out one video a week. This week I'm a little bit limited on time, so this weekend is the time that I usually work on a video. I'm not working on it because it's my dog's birthday. He's turning 3, so say happy birthday in the comments because this video should be out by then. So we're going to be going through some creepy subreddits. Found this subreddit and it's pretty interesting from what I've seen, but I refreshed the page and I put the newest ones up at the top, so we're going to be reading new content. It's not going to be a bunch of old stuff. So yeah, let's get into it. I genuinely can't get this memory out of my head, but I feel I need to share it to get it off my shoulders somewhat. Good pun. Sorry. I was around 9 at the time and I remember my mum and brother being in the room as I was getting ready to take a shower. My clothes were basically in a pile in the closet due to my mum not getting around to it. But as I was grabbing my shirt, I noticed lumps beneath it. Didn't really think of it, but when I took it off, I saw a guy's head smiling at me, like his head was slightly sunken into the pile, if that makes sense, like how a hoodie covers your face. I didn't hesitate and just screamed and ran towards my mum, yelling at her that there was a guy in there. When she went to check, obviously there was no one there, but the face is just so vivid to me. Imagine that here's Johnny, guy, but with a disturbing smile and longer hair covering his forehead. It's just weird how vivid I imagined that guy, even if it was just for a split second. Don't know if maybe was just in my mind playing with me, but that memory of him keeps coming back. That is horrible. That would be so traumatizing if you were 9. As crazy. Skipping. My granddaughter says sees dead people. I see dead people. Okay. My 15-year-old granddaughter has admitted the reason she likes to stay in her room so much is because every day and everywhere she sees dead people, spirits, ghosts, or whatever they are called, even outside. Mostly they stay to themselves, but sometimes they talk to her. She does not engage them. She has recently seen my deceased son-in-law, who she said was looking very sad. That hurts, man. Can you imagine hearing that? Of course, she has a therapist who rules out schizophrenia. My question is, how do I react to the supernatural claim, or just say nothing about it? I wonder if there are other sensitive people who see spirits on a daily basis. Can this story be true? She has a gift and it can be scary. I see them as well, but usually the strangers keep to themselves. A lot of the time they're with family. I was at the cemetery my grandparents are at and I saw a spirit who had his arm wrapped around a lady sitting in front of a gravestone. She had some incense and music playing, made me tear up. Another spirit was with this family who were trying to light one of those floating lanterns. They were all laughing. The main spirits I interact with are my grandparents from my mum's side. They're always with me. I'll add that spirits who speak to you are doing so because they know you see them. Like us, they are people and not all are great, but like us, you can also pick up on that. You can kind of pick up on that. I've had spirits interact with me in my room. My grandma popped up and told me to stop talking to them. I feel kind of dumb after that. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to rule it out. Like, you don't want to rule it out and say people are making things up. I think people who make profit and have like certain gains and benefits out of these things, they're the ones who can be frauds. But if it's people like this that are literally just living their life and they're not like selling services out of this and they're not doing stuff, like they're genuinely just seeing this up, having these experiences and just living a normal life, then there's not much that you can really throw in front of them and be like, oh, it's fake. I think there's so much that's unknown about the afterlife. So I think there definitely could be people who are blessed to see certain spirits. But you kind of have to learn to find which ones are legit and which ones are fake. Mimic! I love stuff with mimics. Okay. Yesterday I was with my husband in our room with the door closed and watching TV. I heard Andres, our toddler son, call me from the hallway. I was heading into our bathroom that is in the room. I heard him say "Ma" loud and clear in his voice. The only problem was he wasn't even home. He was at his cousin's house. I told my husband if he heard it and he said no. I was freaked out. Okay, mimics. That's the thing from like the Appalachian. Oh, I'm gonna get roasted for saying this wrong. Those mountains in the US that are just always having haunted stuff. I thought mimics everyone could hear because it's like an actual thing. It's not like a spirit. It's not something that just you hear. Like I thought it's something that everyone hears because I've seen videos on like TikTok, super reliable source by the way. I've seen videos of people doing it. Obviously those videos could easily be faked for views. But every video I've seen with mimics is like everyone can hear them, like you can hear it on the video. If your husband didn't hear it, I guess it's kind of, it would freak you out. It's one of those things like, is it a mimic or is it like a spirit? I don't know. Potential ghost I spotted on the Queen Mary. What's this? This is a mirror. The Queen Mary has a crazy history. Like, I watched Sam and Colby's video on it, like all of their videos on it actually. And just the stories about this place. That's a hand holding the phone, taking the photo. That's someone else standing there. And then that's creepy, but everything's really blurry. Like, you can't see it too well. What are people saying about it? Yeah, that's it. I understand the Queen Mary. Oops. I understand the Queen Mary has a haunted reputation, but quite honestly, there is way too much glare in this image to make an educated guess, let alone submit this as a paranormal statement. I think there's nothing wrong with submitting it as a paranormal statement. If you see something and it looks, you know, paranormal, you can post it. There's nothing wrong with it. But there's a lot of glare, so it's hard to kind of make it out. The glass is dirty. Yeah, people aren't taking it seriously because of the glare. I'm trying to figure out what it is. Leave it in the comments below if you can figure it out. It looks almost like a skull. Like a really like elongated skull. Personal experience question. When I was a child at night, I was regularly visited by what my brother and I called a witch at night. This was something that looked like a ghost shape but black with more of a pointed top. Similar to the share of a witch's hat. I've never heard that phrase. This started with me every night and then my brother. It would switch back and forth every other night on who it would visit. The witch didn't have any feet and hovered about 3 or 4 inches above the ground. It would glide from the door to under our bed. For me, for my brother, it would just hover next to his bed. This went on nightly for years. We were able to keep a chart as kids and mark it. We didn't share a bedroom. Also, once a month, our parents would wake us up and serve us a small cup with Pepsi and a quarter of a saltine cracker. Huh? Anyone have any insight? I'm more confused about your parents. What? This went on nightly for years. We were able to keep a chart as kids and mark it. We didn't share a bedroom. Also, once a month, our parents would wake us up and serve us a small cup, larger than a thimble but bigger than a Catholic ceremonial cup. What is a Catholic ceremonial cup? A chalice, yeah. A chalice isn't small. A chalice is big. Your experience may resemble sleep paralysis or hypnagogic hallucinations, both of which can lead to vivid experiences while transitioning between sleep and wakefulness. Maybe consider the idea of a shared imagination, routine, and reinforcement. Okay, look, I definitely believe that if you both are very young and one of you has an experience or something, then the other one, it can happen to, not because they're lying or making it up, but you're so young that if one of you says, look, this happened to me, then the other young person will think about it when they go to sleep, and they can easily dream of the same thing. So maybe one of you experienced something and then in your head, you guys were alternating, but only one of you was actually experiencing it. Did they say their age? No, they just said when they were a child. It sounds like sleep paralysis. It does sound like sleep paralysis, but I don't understand the parents. The whole situation has caused major sleep issues. That's really sad. That's actually really sad. Well, I'm sorry to whoever wrote this, because that's crazy. Like, especially not being able to ask your parents about what it was. Should we look this up? Should we fully investigate this? Is this the same person posting this? Yeah. Is anyone familiar with any rituals that include drinking from a small cup that is larger than a thimble but smaller than the cups used for Catholic services? Trying to figure out what kind of ritual I was involved in as a child. It happened monthly and I was woken up from sleeping in the middle of the night and was given these cups with Pepsi in them and ate the... You know, the only thing I can think of, so if they're talking about Catholic services, I assume they're familiar with them because they've brought it up twice to explain the chalice. But in like Christian services, they have this thing where you get like a little packet and the bottom part of it will be like juice. It's supposed to be wine, but obviously because there's underage people that are in these services, they have like juice, like grape juice or something. And then the top part will be a little spot that will have like a, I'm gonna find a photo of this. You basically have like the little wafer, which I assume would be the equivalent of the saltine that she's talking about. And then you would have the little like tiny cup, which is bigger than a shot glass, but I wouldn't say this is anywhere near the size of a chalice. Like, this is tiny. This is the only like significance I can think of for this. But now I'm really curious. Who on earth made you do this? Why would they make you do this? How long did they do this? For about 7 to 8 years. Just trying to understand what they could have been doing. Did your brother make you do this, or was it someone else making you and your brother do it? They sound really concerned. I kind of wonder if there was something going on with your parents, maybe like OCD or some kind of delusional paranoid thinking. Have you asked them why they did this? What does your brother think? My only other thought was that this is a weird religious thing, and I wondered if they were in some fringe religious group or cult. Yeah, so I reckon it was the equivalent of communion. So maybe it was a thing like they were having dreams, parents spoke to the church or cult or whatever they were in. The leader of whatever it was could have said, look, you have to give them communion. You can't see me because I'm faceless, but I'm using air quotations to try and get rid of this witch or demonic thing that was appearing to them at night. That's the only thing I can think of, because we kind of are taught that you can use any kind of liquid or any kind of food, like even though it's supposed to be a wafer and wine, if you have water with you and bread, you can use that. And communion itself is supposed to be a remembrance thing, but it depends on what like cult or denomination you're in. Like obviously cults are crazy, but if it's a denomination, it's generally done as like a, you know, remembrance thing. It's like a respect thing. It's not like a whole creepy ritual that you do for this, and this. Oh, you don't have to believe any of this text, but I am writing this in hope that someone could explain at least something to me. Sorry for my bad English. About 5 years ago, my mother, grandmother, and aunt went to another city to meet a woman. She is a Muslim woman who uses specific methods with molten lead, cold water, and reciting Quran versions. Muslim holy book. Okay, so it's like rituals using the Quran to find out information about family. Okay. They have never seen that woman before. She lives 100 kilometers away from us, so she gets her lead, drops it in water, recites something along the way, then she takes the bowl and circles around you and so on. Okay. Their visit was a family secret for a long time until my mother told it to me. Then I asked my aunt and grandma individually without them knowing, and all of them told me almost the same story. The woman asked them if my infant father went to a hospital on the 40th day since birth because of his face redness and constant crying. They answered yes. She then said that it happened because someone put some kind of witchcraft on him that night. The woman asked my grandmother if she had a tap next to the house with a white cloth over it. She answered yes. The woman told her to burn that cloth because someone put it there to harm her. She then asked my grandmother, have you found any dead birds in your backyard recently? She answered yes, and that she thought that her cat had left those birds there. The woman told her no, it's a person who does it. This one is the most bizarre, and you don't have to believe me, but she asked my aunt if she lives in a flat. She said yes. She then asked if her door threshold is out of stone and it's broken in 2 parts. She said yes. She then said, lift the threshold. Under it you will find a small pouch of sand. Immediately get rid of it. That sand is from the grave of one of your What? From one of your relatives. When my aunt returned home, she found it. All 3 of them were absolutely shocked and in fear, but they are all Muslims. They said that one simply can communicate with jinn, invisible creatures in Islam. I think that's supposed to be like a ghost, I think, from what I know. I'm not Muslim and I believe that this is something else. Then after some research, I found out that this lead ritual dates back to pagan Rome. I was gonna say, I don't think this is a Muslim ritual. I think this is like a pagan. Why did no one ever talk about it? If it works like this, I don't understand anything. How could a stranger know what happened to my father when he was born 45 years ago? How could she have known about that white cloth on the tap? How could she have known about the little sand pouch in front of the flat? She doesn't even know where they were from. This is too much for my brain to process. Completely fair enough. I would be like, what the hell? This does definitely sound like a pagan thing, you're right. I don't think this is a Muslim thing. I don't know enough about Muslim religion. It is difficult to put into words how this woman knew so much. If she does talk to jinn, that may be an answer. Here in the States, most mediums speak to their spirit guides. I've never attempted a reading. I have never had the desire to learn anything like they did. Okay, pause. What I was trying to say, and I don't want to offend anyone's beliefs here, but when you go to random farmers markets and there's someone sitting in a tent and they tell you that they're going to read your palms and they predict your whole future and they can talk to spirits and they can do all sorts of stuff, there's a lot of people out there that prey on vulnerable people. So if you are seeing a psychic, quotations psychic, and that person is gonna comfort you and tell you stuff about your loved one and talk to someone who passed and everything, or they're going to see into your future and predict stuff. 99% of it is a scam. And the reason why is because those people are sitting in tents trying to make money out of you by preying on something you're vulnerable about. Now, I get there's probably cases where you go see someone and you think, okay, this is amazing. This is really happening. Like, they've predicted this and this has happened this week and it connects it. If someone gives you a super broad statement and tells you that it's going to happen in the coming week, then you are going to look for every chance for that to be proven right. So your subconscious is going to connect it to whatever it is that's happening in your week. And it's going to seem like this person really told you something amazing, but they really just told you something broad and you've been able to connect it because you want to believe it. So all I'm saying is that when people seek vulnerable people out to make money out of them by telling them all sorts of stuff, then it's usually a scam. I'm not saying this case is a scam, but I'm saying this as a heads up because while I'm on the topic, anyone who watches this, if you're in a situation where you feel like you're vulnerable and you can go to a psychic, it's really easy to take advantage of people who are actually in bad situations. So just look out for that. But yeah, back to the story. So they had never seen her before. Their visit was a family secret for a long time. So if they had never seen her before, how did they hear about her? If they had heard about her through another friend, that friend could be working for her, knows information about your family. So find out who initiated the meetup, how they found out about the person, and then try and trace it back through that. That's the two things I would do. But I mean, it's really hard to say, hey. All right, I think that was a pretty solid video, like in length. My past few videos have been like 5 minutes long, so I'm just gonna throw out a 20-minute video real quick. But yeah, I have a few other stories that I actually did go through that I haven't added into this because it was just gonna be too long. So if you guys do want me to do a second part of this, let me know. It was actually really entertaining to do if you want more of my unsolicited opinions. Also, drop any ideas that you guys have about these stories in the comments below because I'm super open to paranormal stuff and I'm super open to like other people's views and opinions when it comes to this because there's just so much unknown. Before I go, I do want to say a big thank you to the support. I said last week that I've just gotten to 230 subs and I'm almost at 240 now, so we're slowly climbing. So let's keep that 500 goal in mind. Also realize I'm just doing a heart with my hands and I keep forgetting I don't have a camera. So, you know, love you guys. Last thing I do want to mention is there's a few links down below. I will link the Reddit forum that I got all of these from. I will also link in my Twitch, which I've recently started doing. So I would love to meet you guys on there. So just head over to that and I'll see you guys there. And the third thing is just the Discord. If you guys have any video recommendations, subreddits, anything you want me to have a look at, then just join the Discord, come say hi, and then there's a channel there for any recommendations. And yeah, that is everything. So have an amazing day or night, guys, and I'll see you next week.